right. You ever watch television? You ever heard
Oh,
us talk about television?
all the time. All the
So
goddamn time.
I think it's a good topic we picked today. So Khalil and I want to look at kind of this idea of TV shows that raised us. We did sitcoms last time we talked about TV, and I think that was good because it allowed us to talk about both child and adult themes together. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Today, I'm personally taking a massive focus on cartoons and also like
That's,
educational TV.
that's also where I
Um,
was leaning for this. So we're on the
Perfect.
same
So
boat.
today we're going to be talking about the cartoons pretty much or just shows cuz some of them won't be cartoons that like raised us, what helped build us into the humans we are today. And
Mm-hmm.
I want to start off by saying one thing, which is like as somebody who's an educator in life, ever since probably like late high school, I've held a very strong position that one day in life I would want to write a children's book or maybe a children's TV show because I have a deep rooted dislike for how often the characters in the leads or their best friends have a disdain for education, how much they always like hate school, hate homework, and it just like
Yeah,
I
that's a
know
good
these
point.
creators
That's a good
know
point.
I know the creators know that the kids think about that and that they're paying attention to that and that lingers with them. Like, there's a reason why children's programming is children's programming. It's meant to influence or have an impact on children. So if your main characters hate school or you make the nerdy character the one that's the least popular, like, of course, kids are going to grow up hating school. They already get it enough from, older kids or parents that maybe didn't like education. So it's like, why are we giving it to them in the area that they are supposed to go relax? Like, school can be enjoyable, man. So I really always appreciate when a show or a book that for children is either educational or is one that promotes, healthy activities like education or community in positive ways. And I think there aren't that many that do, but there really are some that do. And then even great shows have characters who don't. Like, I mean, we weren't really children anymore. We were more late middle school and high school age when like Gumball came out. They don't like
Yeah.
school, but gosh, that show's so good.
It
Um, Goodness gracious, that didn't
was a good
raise us,
show.
but goodness gracious, that's such a good show. All right, so Khalil, I'm gonna ask you questions so that way it's not me talking for 10 minutes straight.
All right, all
But
right.
if looking at our show sheet here, which is one of my hardest phrases to say, our first topic is in fact titled "Earliest Favorites and Nostalgia," and the kind of two questions we formed are what are the shows that formed your earliest memories and shaped your imagination? I think that's a lovely question, and also how these shows introduced you to new ideas or sparked creativity. So, what comes to mind when you think of like original television for you? What were like the shows that you remember watching as early as possible?
As early as possible. There is one that comes to mind, and reading in between, no, reading with the lines or something like that. But I remember this, and it was literally like just it's kind of like a Sesame Street
Yeah.
um, type show where it's like they had these lion puppets and they like owned a not owned a library, but they worked in a library basically, and they were always reading
Oh,
different stories.
because you just painted a picture in my brain when you just said that. Dude, you talking about Between the Lions?
Between the Lions, yeah,
Oh my gosh, you unlocked a memory. Yeah, I remember this show. Wow,
um,
dude, reading Between the Lions. I used to watch this when I was at my grandmother's house because, rabbit ear television, so you only got certain channels.
yep. I watched this a
Wow.
lot, and I do think that this show really did spark some creativity for sure. Because like there was, I don't know, there was a lot of like took obviously stories that already exist, but they
Mm-hmm.
did them in such a fun and
Yeah.
creative way. Um, they even had like little
Wow.
short things. Like I think there was this one where a guy was always climbing up a cliff. He never really made it to the top. I think he would always like fall back down. But anyways, and looking into that, I also just remembered Dragon Tales. Also watched Dragon
Dragon
Tales.
Tales was really good. I watched Dragon Tales
I
as well.
watched that a lot.
That one made me
Let's see.
have a pretty good imagination, I would say.
I did watch Cyber Chase as well. Okay, so
Cyber
yeah,
Chase, I remember that.
Reading Rainbow is different, but I did watch Reading Rainbow as well. Um, Bear in the Big Blue House. I'm glad I just saw
Okay,
that.
so that was the one I was going to say. Bear in the Big Blue House was one of the most inspirational shows I think I've ever seen. I mean, I do have to give credit to Sesame Street and the Muppets as well. I loved puppets growing up. I thought that I mean, reading between the lines as well, because like this is literally like puppets had my attention hooked, and I loved Bear in the Big Blue House. I mean, that was
Yep.
phenomenal. It taught me a lot, in my opinion, about friendship, treating people right. Like when he would have to like give the mouse a cookie, when he said goodnight to the moon every episode, that like filled me
Yep.
with joy in ways I could not express. Same vein, but also very different. Another show that I think really raised me as like a tiny tyke would be the Big Comfy Couch. So that was a
What
show
was it
about a
called?
girl, the Big Comfy Couch. It's like a clown lady,
Oh yeah. I know the Big
and
Comfy
she
Couch.
like pretty
I don't
much
think I
lived on
watched
a
it myself.
couch and would find dust mites under it and in it. And it's a Canadian show that got picked up in America,
It's
but like
Canadian.
such a good show. I think that taught me a lot about
I do remember
how to
this quite a bit.
behave. She definitely had a lot more like educational stuff, taught you how to like read an analog clock and like stuff like that. So when we talk about like educational TV, I think Bear in the Big Blue House, The Big Comfy Couch, yeah, Reading with Lions or Between the Lions, or Sesame Street, of course. I don't think we really need to spend time on Sesame Street because I think that's like universal.
Yeah, yeah. That
But
that is a
like
universal one.
I think when we talk about little kid shows, I started with these, a lot of live action ones with puppets. I would eventually move into. I was apparently a big Thomas the Train kid. I don't really
Oh,
remember
I
that
was
though.
too. I
Like,
was I was a huge Thomas the Train kid. JJ Jet Plane.
see, I never
the
watched
Jet Plane.
JJ. I do
I
remember
I saw that.
loving the Thomas movies. I don't remember watching the show that much, but I do remember loving the movies. Um,
I don't even know if I actually caught like Thomas the Tank Engine on TV, but I know I had VHSs of it,
yeah, I had VHSs
and
of it.
and I watched it so much as a kid.
Absolutely.
And I just remembered another one that I used to watch. It's called Maggie and the Ferocious Beast.
See, I do not know this one.
You don't know that one? I watched that one too.
All right, let me
That one was great. Great googly moogly.
I watched a lot of Veggie Tales. Obviously, I didn't care
Yeah,
about religion
Veggie
yet, and I
Tales.
don't even think my
Yeah.
parents knew that it was religious. I think
I
they
had
just,
family members that watched it, and they had it, and I watched it a lot as a kid as well. I just thought talking vegetables, that's hilarious.
also they're funny.
Like,
Like even as an
they
adult, you
are.
can watch some of the episodes, and some of them are still really funny. So
Yes. Some of them
Veggie
are
Tales
funny
was
for
huge
different
for me.
reasons as well.
Where do you think you're going?
I must help save Israel!
Well,
Like,
yeah,
because you're like, oh, context, that's really freaking funny.
absolutely. But okay, so I think those are like my little tyke shows for sure. And then when we're looking at that, I think the ones that sparked my creativity from that would definitely be Big Blue House as well as the Comfy Couch. I definitely liked dressing up because of the Comfy Couch. I'd like my mom has images of me doing like little fashion shows, dressing as wacky as I could, like their characters on the show. So I think that really sparked a lot of my imagination and creativity. Obviously, so did things like anything that involved magic. So the Thomas movie I remember watching the most was the one where he travels into the real world, and it weirdly has Alec Baldwin in it as the conductor.
That's so weird.
And he has the magical whistle that's running out of magic dust, and like so that's pretty imaginative. Eventually I remember liking things like I found WB Kids, and WB
Yeah,
Kids
yeah.
had Yu-Gi-Oh, Static Shock.
Yep,
It
yep.
had like it's actually insane. So I was obsessed, and I mean obsessed from the youngest age possible. I was obsessed with two franchises that I still to this day am obsessed with, which is Scooby-Doo and the Looney Tunes. And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Batman came in soon after that, and I'm still obsessed with those franchises as well. So like those four franchises are probably like hands down the most important franchises in my life. Which, I mean, I'm glad that they are, because Looney Tunes still exists, Batman still exists. You know what I mean? Like, you know, these
Right.
shows still exist.
Like,
Yu-Gi-Oh! I stopped watching after Duel Academy with Jaden, so Yu-Gi-Oh! GX.
yeah.
But I still have the memories. I have the cards. I mean, there's you. Hold on. There's like, there's this sitting right next to me, unplanned. Like, you know what I mean? Like, these are inspirational. And then after that, I found Dragon Ball Z, which, I mean, behind me, multiple Dragon Ball Z figurines. Like,
Well, I was gonna
these
say,
shows are
I
so
actually,
influential.
I really fell into like anime quickly, and very young, like Pokemon, Beyblade,
Yeah,
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Pokemon, Blade, for sure. I mean, I watched,
Those
like,
were
without realizing it, like, Yu Yu Hakusho, Inuyasha. I didn't realize the adult themes yet because I was literally a child.
yeah. So I was obsessed with Beyblade for quite a while before getting really into Pokemon. And I just I do remember having a bunch of different Beyblades, and I remember how difficult they were to put together because you had
Oh,
to put that
unbelievable.
stuff together. You had to put the stickers on. I
Oh,
remember
I know.
having
It
to
was the
ask my
worst.
mom for help. Oh my goodness.
I will say, and then we'll get back on topic. I was much more of a Yu-Gi-Oh person. I love Pokemon, and I loved it back then too. I was much bigger into Yu-Gi-Oh and also Digimon. The
Oh my
Digimon
god, that's
show was
Digimon.
superior,
Yes,
and
yes.
so was a big Digimon guy.
I was also big into Digimon. I remember having a book for Digimon as
Yep.
well as having a
I
book
had
for
all the
Pokemon.
books for Pokemon. It's insane. So here, let's jump back down a little, de-age it again, so we can talk about kind of moving into those little tyke shows, moving into the more elementary age. I like the idea that our next question says life lessons and morals, because I mean, honestly, that's why they exist. Like, the reason the
Right.
Sesame Street exists was to help children that didn't have, the greatest
Early
homes. It was,
education.
and like, it's
Honestly,
no
early
hidden
education.
fact that it was really inclusive early on of people of color and low income children to help them get access to information they might not. Like, so
Yep.
kids shows have
Yep.
always had this theme of friendship, responsibility, kindness, teamwork. And I think these messages, so the question is, like, how do these messages influence your behavior and outlook as you grow up? I think massively. Like, my
I think
parents
so
were
too.
good parents, so were yours. I mean, we've known each other forever, and it's not like my parents are discouraging these things, but like, external sources are real. Like, hearing your, the things you enjoy that you're not just a part of because you're born into it, but like the things you chose to like, influencing or helping you with these themes. Like, obviously that's what things like the comfy couch and Big Bear in the Big Blue House was literally about. Friendship. Sesame Street,
Yeah.
literally about friendship. I
Yep.
do think once it comes to treating people and responsibility and these things, it does come a little bit more later when you look
Yes.
at
I
certain
definitely
shows.
agree.
Now, it's not going to be like crazy ones like I'm not watching SpongeBob, even though I watched that from the youngest age possible to learn about friendship and things. Like, they had morals in the earlier
Right.
seasons, but they weren't so strong. Like, when I think of moral shows around that time, there's not that many. I mean, the Powerpuff Girls had a few moral episodes. Scooby Doo kind of had some, but you look more at shows like Hey Arnold was huge with teaching me morals. Huge. I mean, unreal amounts how that one really helped influence how I treated others and looked at people and saw them as other individuals. Arthur was massive in this
Yeah,
regard.
Arthur. Yep. I don't know how I forgot about Arthur. Yeah.
And it's just like, it's those kind of shows that have that more serious tone to it that really taught me about, how to treat others, what things mattered in life. Like, as much as I love all the other shows, they were more pure enjoyment. And obviously you can get into the educational shows like Dora. I wasn't a huge Dora person, but I did watch it. But I didn't take morals from that show like I did some of these other ones. Like, some of these shows, especially like the ones I've already listed of Hey Arnold and such, really instilled. Arthur especially instilled a lot in me. Even Rugrats, the amount of times they dropped like real life knowledge on you as a child without you realizing it was bananas. I think Rugrats did an excellent job at mixing the two genres perfectly.
I'm trying to think. I haven't seen Rugrats since I was a kid, but I know I remember one of the Rugrats well, honestly both the movies the Paris one and the first one where Dill was born. But like in the Rugrats Go to Paris, like I remember realizing like Chucky is depressed.
No, his dad is literally anxiety. That's what it is. Like each character represents something else. Like Lou, Tommy's dad, is stress. That's what he is. And the mom is manic. And like that's like the whole point of Rugrats, whether you realize it or not as a kid. And like you feel it. Like when certain characters are on screen, you experience different emotions. And I think that lays into just how good of a show the Rugrats truly was. I think that helps us really, even as an adult or a child. You can feel the characters, you can feel the emotions, and I think that's massively important for exactly what we're talking about. Of like, I think those shows that I listed are really important to when it's not a purposefully educational show. Hey Arnold, Arthur, Rugrats, and some of the others that we've said have been those ones that taught me how to have better friendships, how to treat people that are different than me, especially Hey Arnold in that regard. But like, it's just a phenomenal way to convey these messages, and I think that's really important. So here, let's jump into some of these deeper questions. Say your piece. Go ahead. Yeah.
I was gonna say you're forgetting the most important moral from anything that we've ever watched, and that is believe
the heart of the cards.
There you go.
Yeah, so you didn't even need to. I knew that. I felt that one coming a mile away. Here, yeah.
Jumped into the ocean. Okay, that's true.
I think
friendship.
We answered. I'm gonna say the joke. I'm gonna tell it. I don't care.
I'm so glad you sent that to me.
I texted Cleo out of the blue the other day, probably like a month ago now. It doesn't feel like it was that long ago, but it really was. I texted Cleo out of the blue. I was just like, you never forget that the most New York person you've ever met in your life jumped into the ocean to save his friends' playing cards because an autistic child obsessed with insects threw them in the ocean. And if you don't know what we're talking about, this is when Weevil threw Yugi's cards of Exodia into the ocean on a cruise ship, and Joey, hey Yugi, my sister's blind and I need a $3 million, jumped into an actual ocean to save these cards and failed. But that's friendship, baby.
That is true friendship.
Jeez Louise. So we actually answered question 2, I think. Question 2 is worded on the sheet, says some kids shows focus heavily on education content. Which educational shows do you remember being truly effective? I think when it comes to that, mine were just like Sesame Street, Big Blue House. Like those were the effective ones. I didn't watch Dora like that, so I think those would be the ones I'd count to. I mean, Sesame Street literally, being Electric Company, but with puppets, teaching you how to count, teaching you words. So I don't think we need to dive too deep into that one. I think
that's one of the most important ones.
I mean, it still is. If you did not know, I'm sure people don't know this. Sesame Street was bought by HBO not long ago, and then HBO now dumped it. They got rid of it, and now Sesame Street has no funding, and it exclusively relies on fan donations, and it's a dying show. So go support Sesame Street.
I heard about that recently.
It's tragic.
And, they have Bill Maher. They pay Bill Maher out the wazoo. Sorry.
I really don't understand. But yeah, here, let's talk about some of these questions are really cool, and I'm really proud of this. Do you think that any of the shows you watched growing up specifically shaped your career, interest, hobbies, or passions? I mean, quick answer for both of us, yes for Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon. Like, we play Yu-Gi-Oh!, we play Pokemon, the games, the Pokemon Go, we duel each other. But do you think externally of that there are any others that did so?
I believe so. I mean,
so here's the thing. Can I challenge you and ask you, did a show like, and gosh, why am I blanking on the name? Did a show like there it was, Shaolin Showdown encourage you to want to do martial arts, or Jackie Chan Adventures?
Well, okay, so here's the thing. I was going to say there were a lot of shows that I watched that really kicked off my interest in martial arts. So yes, those are two really big ones. But I mean, even Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, absolutely. Dragon Ball Z has a lot of morals in it.
It does. And it really, really sparked my interest in martial arts, along with the other two. Choksuki Chook.
Yeah, whoa.
That one really sparked.
That was a blast from the past,
well.
yeah.
And then and then comes along martial arts movies. I watched so many Jackie Chan movies as a kid. So like that, yeah, absolutely. Those shows had an impact on my future, my hobbies today. But even things like I would honestly say like being exposed to something like Dora or Jackie Chan plays a part in this as well. There's
learning language.
Language learning. I was gonna say another one was what's it called? Life and Times of Juniper Lee, I think it was.
Yes.
And then Maya and Miguel, even like
yeah,
saw that one.
Whoa, another
earlier.
one.
Like these things really sparked an interest in language learning as well. Also, I mean, my dad is fluent in Arabic, but I have a family that learns languages.
Right. No, absolutely. And I no, I don't have the language interest, and I don't do martial arts, and I mean, I like sports, but I don't think that's because I didn't really watch a lot of shows that were based around sports. In fact, I think what I got from hobbies and interests from cartoons would be things like my obsession with animals, because every show that I loved the most was animal based, even as throwback as something like Street Sharks or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Scooby-Doo or Cow and Chicken or Two Stupid Dogs or Cat Dog or Angry Beavers or I Am Weasel, or like, dude, I can go on for hours. Even the random one was Brandy and Mr. Whiskers, Disney
Loved
one.
that
was
show.
Random.
Loved that one.
Just like I love animals. Like, I'm not like the type that I wanted to be a vet growing up, but like I would always like, gosh, dude, I can't even stand seeing bugs get killed.
I was that one. I watched Animal Planet almost religiously.
Yeah, dude. I mean, Pinky and the Brain, Darkwing Duck.
Yeah, all the animal shows. Like, I would watch them. I was like, I did want to be a vet at one point. Like that was my true ambition. Then I learned exactly how hard it is, and I was like, no.
I honestly want to give a shout out to shows like, and I mean, we can go on a rant about some of these for hours. Oh, clearly we forgot about the Magic School Bus with educational shows. Magic School Miss Frazzle was really important for us growing up, for sure. I mean, goodness gracious. But I do want to say, I think they encouraged my interest, passions, and hobbies. Shows like, and some of these are going to be big names and some of them aren't. If you look at shows like Chalk Zone, if you look at shows like Fairly OddParents, and if you look at shows like, I would honestly even almost throw Dexter's Laboratory into this category. And there's definitely a few more that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head. But for me being creative, I've drawn my whole life, even if I'm not great at it. Even a show like Freakazoid or some other like hero shows, because I would write short stories growing up, and even now I need creative outlets, and I draw a lot, I doodle a lot. I don't show a lot of people all this stuff because I kind of keep to myself. But even like, dude, on random days I wake up and I write entire movies like outlines, and then I work on scripts over the years, even though I know I'll never make a movie. But like, I have this creative passion constantly to create, and I think a lot of these shows based around creation, whether it's like Chalk Zone, even Fairly OddParents, Timmy needs to think of something and then create things to get out of it. And like, there's other aspects of that really influence who I am today, and I absolutely can say that. Also, Captain Planet was huge for me educationally, because I became I'm a hippie. Planet. So Captain Planet's huge with me. Wild Thornberries is pretty big in that regard.
Wild Thornberry, good pull.
So there's a lot of like.
I was gonna ask if Codename Kids Next Door had any influence on that creativity as well.
Yes, 100%. I signed up to be a Codename Kids Next Door on Cartoon Network's website. I think I was number like 206. And so that one's huge because it made you think like, oh, I'm a kid, I can do anything I want. That's similar vibe to Fairly OddParents, with like giving you empowerment to this idea of like, even though I'm young and small, I can do something granular. And I think so, absolutely. And I think TV overall did actually encourage me to become an educator, because TV taught me a lot in life, whether it's random facts, behavioral things. I use this example to the day till it's the day I die. I have no fear in admitting when I was younger, I didn't care about education, but I did care about learning, and I just couldn't connect those two things. So I loved learning new things, but I didn't realize school is that because I had that viewpoint of a kid growing up that, oh, stupid school. But one of the ways in which I mean, like, I didn't pay attention in elementary school at all. And I can tell because the way I learned something ridiculous, which is the way I learned that there's 7 days in a week was by watching an episode of Family Guy in late elementary school, and Peter is burping a homeless man.
When was the last time you were changed? 7 days ago? That's 1 week. There are 7 days in a week.
Was it a week ago? That's 7 days. There are 7 days in a week. But they're making fun of Sesame Street in that moment. And so it's like, it's funny how that's a full circle moment. But yeah, I think TV actually even encouraged me to be an educator in that regard of where I was like, whoa, I can learn so many things I never would have thought about or knew about through these things, whether it's random or not. And so absolutely. Now here, let's get into the hardest hitting question. I think question one's the hardest hitting question. Which children's show do you think influenced your personality the most and why? I have a few answers, so I'm going to go first and let you think. Yeah. I truly think shows like, this is going to be a little goofy at times. I truly think shows like Ben 10, Danny Phantom, Teen Titans, and Ed, Edd n Eddy encourage me the most when my personality. Now, I take from Ed, Edd n Eddy my comedy and goofball schemes that I came up with as a kid all the time. Ben 10 and Teen Titans, I kind of always have had. I'm obviously no hero, but I do have this strong sense of morality. Also, Dragon Ball Z would be thrown in that where, like, I can't be a bystander in situations even if I don't know you. Like, I act on my gut and my moral feeling all the time, always. And then Fairly OddParents, I think, taught me how to be silly and, you know, use imagination to escape those times that things are down in the dumps. Like, as somebody with depression, I mean, you don't register as a child, but I mean, Timmy's life is really bad, and that's the whole point of the show. And so it taught me how to, you know, have a little bit of escapism, but staying in reality because I was in real life. So I definitely think those played a huge factor. Scooby-Doo, absolutely too, but like I'm not a crime detective person, so it's a little different. That one's more of just like being an upbeat person, even in moments that are supposed to be spooky. But I truly think Ben 10, Danny Phantom, Teen Titans, Fairly OddParents were. Hey Arnold would be thrown in that category too. But I think the one that did it the most for me. Oh God, it's tough. It's tough because like who inspired my personality? My personality is a lot based around probably a mix of Fairly OddParents and Ed, Edd n Eddy, or Fairly OddParents and Teen Titans. Because like Cyborg and Beast Boy, I loved them, but I always had this soft spot for Robbie, even though he's annoying as heck. Just because like I don't know, it's like you have all your personalities in one in Teen Titans, and I think that's what really drew me to that show growing up in the middler ages, for sure.
Because like when it comes to Teen Titans, I always found myself to be like a mix of like Beast Boy and also Raven.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I very much can identify with that.
Goofy, and then I really just also want to be like left alone.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't as much that. I was definitely just like, I think it was for me, it was Robin and Beast Boy, where it's just like, I've always been this kind of natural leader. And I think that's also another part of why I'm in education of like, so I think those shows kind of take the cake in that regard.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, I'm like, this is a hard question for me to answer. And obviously I saw these questions earlier and I've just been thinking, I don't know. I really don't. I feel like my personality is one of I'm trying to think of shows that like really piqued my interest.
It's tough. It's
tough. I don't know. I really don't know.
I really like Johnny Test, but that's unrelated.
God, Johnny Test was so good.
Totally Spies was another good one.
That was a good one as well. I feel like, honestly, I feel like, and in this regard, in this regard of like self discipline, I feel like Dragon Ball Z and Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan show was really good.
It was really, really good, and you know, like watching Goku being disciplined enough to be training as much as we possibly can, I think really, like, you know, was really, really important for me.
I think I got a lot of that from Ash.
From Ash?
From Pokemon. Because, like, I'm a big Dragon Ball Z guy, too, but I didn't pick up on some of those themes until I was more middle school, high school age when I rewatched it again.
I see. Yeah. Honestly, though, I think I'm on the same wavelength as you with that, but also I think it without realizing it, it shaped that part of myself.
I think that was a lot for me would have been like things like Ninja Turtles and Yu-Gi-Oh, honestly, because that's the same theme. They're always trying to improve. Like you have Leo and Raph who are constantly trying to improve. Yugi and Joey are constantly trying to improve. Like, and so that is an amazing theme that truly exists in a lot of these action-based cartoons where it's like the lessons aren't, you know, treat people better and stuff, but the lessons, like you said, are this idea of discipline and self-improvement.
Mm-hmm. And then the Jackie Chan adventures, that's like at this, you know, I have that, I want to, you know, work on my self-discipline, you know, and be as good as I can be, but also I kind of just want to be like in the background, just kind of like, you know, just a normal everyday person, like Jackie Chan wanted to in the show, but then he got thrown into all kinds of things. But yeah,
absolutely.
That's what comes to mind for me.
Love it. We've actually, like, unironically answered a lot of our other questions just while talking and riffing, which is awesome. So here, let's take a break from that type of stuff, and I do want to give some credits to some of the behind-the-scenes aspects of things, like the idea of creators, actors, producers, all that stuff. I don't think we realize as kids, obviously we don't. I don't even know why I said I don't think, how many people are connected to how many shows. I honestly think it goes undersaid. Like, as large as Family Guy fans as Khalil and I are, I don't think a lot of people realize Seth MacFarlane's first ever job was working at Hanna-Barbera, the people that make Scooby-Doo, and he worked on their lesser known character television shows, like I don't know their names even, but the hippopotamus who wears the yellow tiny hat that's a purple hippopotamus, the purple gorilla who wears the tiny little bow tie that's yellow. Like, people know these cartoon characters without knowing their names. He worked on a lot of those shows at the earliest age of 20. And then by the time he hit like 22, 24 area, he got his first job animating and scripting a show that I grew up obsessed with, which this actually plays into the rewatching as an adult question. Seth MacFarlane's first show he worked on as getting a credit was Johnny Bravo.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
I love Johnny Bravo. And if you watch as an adult, like, I remember growing up, my mom and Christy, so my stepmom, hated Johnny Bravo because obviously they thought it was just a show about objectifying women. You watch Johnny Bravo as an adult, and it's the most feminist, forward-thinking show you'll ever watch. It's a show about a guy who wants to be an alpha and misogynistic towards women, but he can't. He's obsessed with his mother, who's the only person who raised him. His best friend is an 8-year-old Girl Scout that keeps him in check and wants him to find a wife. Every time he tries talking to a girl, he messes up and gets his ass handed to him. Like, the show is literally about him failing, and like, he doesn't learn his lesson, but you do as a viewer. You see what he did wrong and how what he did was weird or cringe, or like, dude, as an adult, that show is so goated. I love Johnny Bravo. Even back then I loved it. And like, Seth MacFarlane worked on that. But here's the craziest connection you'll ever have. You ready? This is what I'm talking about. I think people need to look into the shows they loved growing up. On Johnny Bravo, Seth MacFarlane was working with somebody who is inspirational to everyone, who, even though he's a Jesus freak now, and I actually follow him on Instagram because I think he's a wholesome guy when he's not preaching his religion. Johnny Bravo, Seth MacFarlane worked with a gentleman named Butch Hartman. And if you can tell me who Butch Hartman is, Khalil, I'll give you a brownie.
Oh, I know that name. Why do I know that name?
Because he invented, scripted, directed, and acted in. So, by the way, he's the creator of these shows, Fairly OddParents and Danny Phantom.
That's why I know that name.
He worked with Seth
What?
MacFarlane on Johnny Bravo.
What?
They know each other.
That's wild to me.
So, I
Hold
mean,
up.
dude, those are two massively influential shows in my life, dude. Like, it's insane to think about the small connections that they all have. And then you look at other things like the shows they worked on in the background, you would never, ever realize it. Or the people that made shows together that then moved on to other things. Like, you look at shows like Cow and Chicken, Two Stupid Dogs, I Am Weasel, Angry Beavers. That's all the same universe of writers and guys and actors. That's like a small clique of dudes that made all of those shows and expanded and made their own thing off of it. You look at a show like Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, which was a spin-off of another show that didn't do well on Cartoon Network. It was a spin-off of a show about two villains, the Brain and the Bear,
And
or whatever
Bear,
it was called.
Yeah. Because I think
that's-
within Billy and Mandy, they had shorts.
They
of that,
referenced
right?
them. Yes, and like so that's built off of itself. A better, bigger show came out of a smaller show. Like it's crazy to sit down and make these connections and see where people truly land and where they put their talents. And like I highly suggest to people that care about animation, cartooning, or voice acting like the level I do, look into the people that made the things you loved and see their other projects. And also look into voice actors that you didn't realize were your entire childhood. And the example I always give people is a man named Fred Willard. Fred Willard was in every single show you've ever watched without ever realizing it. He was always a principal, a crazy dad, uncle, you name it. He was in, I can't even, dude, to say he was in 318 things as an actor. As a voice actor, it's obviously not that many, but he's in everything from Family Guy, The Simpsons, Hey Arnold, Dexter's Laboratory, Fairly OddParents. He's in things like Brandy and Mr. Whiskers, Chicken Little, Batman, Monster House, Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, Kim Possible, Squirrel Boy, Boondocks, Wall-E, King of the Hill. Like, I can go on. This is
Man.
just 2001 to 2008.
Oh, dang.
Like, he is the guy, whether you realize it or not. And it's just like, you could also look at somebody like John H. Benjamin, which is now the voice of Bob's Burgers and Archer. You could look at John Domingo, the guy who voices Jake the dog, Bender. He's also was Rico from Madagascar. He was the penguin that didn't talk. That's how good he is.
That's
Like,
so funny. I would have never guessed.
If you never
that
looked into
thing.
this type of stuff, it's something you should look into. You should look at people who ran the show. So showrunners are the people who decide the directions and episodes. Directors are the ones who decide what stays, goes. Writers are the ones who write. Actors are the ones who act. But they all are such a tight-knit group in the world of animation and voice acting that they've worked on almost so many projects you would never believe together and made projects possible with each other that it's unbelievable. Like, oh my god. All right, there's my little TED Talk rant about background stuff, because I know I'm the nerd here in that regard.
Yes, you are.
So here, let's try to fit in one more category here, and then we'll end it by listing things we haven't, cartoons we haven't said that we like. Also, by the way, I haven't talked about it enough, but Ben 10's like my favorite show of all time.
I love Ben 10.
Like, I need to get that out there right now.
Ben
Like
10 is
I have
so good.
a custom-made small artist Omnitrix ring that I wear. Like, I have the Omnitrix somewhere at my mom's house still, the original one that now sells for $600 on eBay, and I will never get rid of it. Like,
Don't. Please don't.
no,
Oh
I
my God.
won't.
Keep that
And
in
it's
the
just
family.
like, oh, I am gonna. It's a Rolex to me, and so like, it's, you know, Ben 10. I just needed to give that little shout out right there. Ben 10 and Danny Phantom were huge in my life. So is Teen Titans Go, and not Go, but Teen Titans. Well, Teen Titans Go is hilarious. I hate people who hate on it. You know,
I
here for an
couldn't get
example.
into Teen Titans.
This
I
is the
couldn't
type
get
of stuff
into it.
I own. Look at that. Fairly OddParents, Danny Phantom, My Life as a Teenage Robot, Jimmy Neutron, SpongeBob,
Oh
Nick's
my
Picks
God,
2s,
my
baby.
Life as a teenage robot. That's crazy.
Like, I don't think people realize how down I get with cartoons, fam. So, anyway. I think we covered a lot of the good, important stuff. And so, I think what I want to do is, let's look at these last questions real quick. I do think a lot of TV shows handled things like diversity, inclusion, social justice really well, but obviously a lot of shows didn't. We're not here to hate. We're here to talk positively about shows. We could have a whole episode on shows that did things wrong. I think that would be pretty entertaining for you and I to talk about, but right now that's not what we're focused on. Which creator or actor had the biggest impact on you? I think unironically it's going to be either Butch Hartman because of Fairly OddParents, you know, Danny Phantom, Johnny Bravo and other things he's worked on. Here, let's ask ourselves question 9. I'll ask you a question that's not on the show sheet on purpose, and then we'll just list a bunch of cartoons we haven't said yet. So if you could interview any one show creator or actor, who would it be? Whether it's like, even if you don't know their name, like if it's a show, you could just say the show and be like, I'd want to interview the creative director or the director or something. What would it be for you?
What would it be for me? Or who would it be
I think
for me?
mine... Gosh, this is a tough one, by the way. This is one of the tougher questions I put on there because for me, there's so many. I would just nerd out with all of them for so long that I think I'd have to choose somebody in the realm of... I know the guys that made Ben 10 ended up making a few other shows, so let me check that real quick.
They had one. It was something Rex, Generator Rex, right?
Yeah, they did have that one. Yeah, they made Generator Rex and the Secret Saturdays, which was the one where they were like cryptic hunters. So it was made by Man of Action. Yeah, so Generator Rex, the Avengers, Ultimate Spider-Man, Marvel Avengers, Mega Man, Bakugan, Sonic Prime. So yeah, they made a lot of other stuff too.
Hold on. Okay, this is my joke answer, and it is the creator of Bakugan because I want to know what's going through their mind.
Do you remember Zatch Bell?
I loved Zatch Bell.
I loved it. I had the cards.
Man.
I would probably interview the guys that made Teen Titans just because a lot of people don't register. They're the ones that made Teen Titans Go. It's the original creators, writers, and voice actors that make Teen Titans Go. It's for fun. Like, it's to be silly on purpose.
Also, there's supposed to be, like, different, like, universes of Titans, right?
Yeah, so and that's the like jokes. And so...
Yeah.
Also, I'll throw in a random show since we're going to be listing random shows later. Invader Zim was a great show. I have this on my desk at all times. Here's my little Zim action figure.
Oh, yeah. Loved Invader Zim.
So who would you, or what show, what do you think? What would be for you?
Honestly, and I think this is because of how influential he was to me, and just like I ended up on a martial arts journey. It would have to be Jackie Chan.
That's fair. No, because he's in other things too, so that's really that makes sense.
He's in a lot of movies. I mean, I'm going based off his show, but like he worked with other big names in martial arts movies, right? Like the old heads. So
100%.
I would have so many questions on that front. So yeah.
Oh, absolutely. That's a good one. And then I'm gonna let you think about this. I'll say it and then I'll give you my answer. Who do you think we relate to the most as cartoon characters? They can be from the same shows or other shows. Who do you think embodies us the most? I have my answer locked and loaded because it's so true. And I'm scared if I say mine, you won't be able to think of anything else because how perfect it is.
Okay.
So you think about that for a second while I list shows we haven't talked about that I want to shout out for being amazing. So you start thinking, who are you and I represented in media? Here's some random shows for you just to bring your memory back if you stuck along with us this long. You could have things like Misadventures of Flapjack. You could have Ren and Stimpy, the Animaniacs, baby. You could have Rocco's World. There's a lot of shows that I love. Speed Racer, not so much, but that just popped in my brain. Pup Named Scooby-Doo, The Mummies. You have the X-Men shows. You have House of Mouse, where Mickey ran a movie theater. You have Wixies.
Yeah.
Powerpuff Girls, Real Monsters. What else we got? Doug,
Cat
Tiny
Scratch.
Toons. You have American
Cat Scratch.
Dragon Jake Long.
Yeah.
You have Code Lyoko, which was a fan
Yes.
favorite of mine growing up. Camp Laszlo, baby.
Oh, Camp Laszlo. You're
Samurai
distracting me
Jack
from
was
thinking.
huge.
Oh, that's a good one.
Chowder was obviously one of Khalil and I's favorites that we didn't talk about because that was more
still
later on, but
love
we
Chowder.
love Chowder. One of the greatest
love
shows.
Chowder.
I can't believe we didn't talk about this. I feel so bad leaving this out till right now, but Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends is one of the greatest shows to ever exist. Kim Possible,
Yes.
Lucha Libre, baby.
Oh my god, yeah, Lucha Libre.
But the two characters that most embody Khalil and I in animated history is without a doubt number one with a bullet, capital B, would be I am Gumball and Cleel is Darwin. There is no better answer on this planet.
Oh my god. That's so good.
There's not a better answer.
There isn't.
Like us
There
together,
absolutely
that's
isn't,
the
because-
answer. I'm sure there's different answers if we were talking about ourselves independently, but together
Ourselves,
there's
but if it's-
nothing.
Yeah. I'm trying-
Nothing will top it.
Another duo like that?
Not gonna be able to do it.
No.
No.
I don't think
So I think we'll leave you with that, friends. Comment what cartoon you're going to go watch right now. Comment your favorite cartoon growing up. Comment your favorite character. Comment whatever, because I love cartoons. If we missed one, obviously Batman, the animated series, Batman Beyond. I could go on for hours. So I'm not gonna.
I could too. I had some on my mind too. Anybody remember The Replacements?
I do. That show was wild because I don't. To this day, I'm not convinced those were their real parents.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like, there's some issues with that show, man. Yeah, we could sit here for Roly Poly Oly, random one.
Oh my god, what
Cubics or whatever the hell it was called on WB Kids.
Yes, the Transformers like one. Is that
Wannabe one? Yep.
Oh my god, and then Transformers. Also, Transformers had a great animated series. You know.
Yeah, I mean, we could sit here and do comics or like Marvel IPs. They all had their own shows. But comment your favorite shows, friends. Comment whatever you want. Thanks for sticking around. This was a really fun one to film, and we'll see you next time on AK After Hours. Go home.
Bye.